Nice, everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna make another response to a King James only person. You'd figure that I'd be done with this, but I'm not. Okay. I let it be fair, just so you know. I'm not using a King James to make the equal comparison for the reason that I checked the King James up against the New King James, and in this scripture, the New King James renders it the exact same way as the King James does. As a matter of fact, you know what? I will use the King James. Okay, hold on. Psalms 8:5. I'm going to do a little exegesis here. Psalm 8:5. Hold on. Alright, here's the problem here. Psalm 8:5 here says, "For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and hast crowned him with the glory and honor." With glory and honor. Okay. What it's talking about, and what I find very interesting in your video, is you quote Hebrews 2:6. Okay? Now, Hebrews 2:6 will go again in here. Actually, and then I'm going to disprove you using the newer versions. Hebrews 2:6. Okay. Hebrews 2:6 says, "But one in a certain place testified, saying, What is man that thou art mindful of him, or the son of man that thou visitest him?" Now, I don't know why you quoted that. And then I think you went to 7. "Thou madest him a little lower than the angels. Thou crownest him with the glory and honor, and didst set him over the works of thy hands." Now, I find it very funny how you conveniently ignore 9, which, by the way, Hebrews 2:9, I'm going to read out of the ESV here. "But we see him for a little while was made lower than the angels, namely Jesus, crowned with glory and honor, because of the suffering of death, so that by grace God might taste death for everyone." Now, I'm sure in all your dishonesty in this video, you can see what they're talking about in that scripture, right? They're not talking about men. It says, "the Son of Man." Now, you know, I would not call him the Son of Man, but you know who that's commonly referring to. That is referring to Jesus, okay? Now, if you corroborate and you tie the two scriptures together, Psalm 8:5 and Hebrews 2:9, which you failed to go, or even 2:6, you quoted 2:6, and it even says it in there 2:6, but you quoted that. But what I don't like is the fact that you sort of manipulated it to the way that you wanted it to read. I mean, you read it verse by verse, and you read it in the actual verses and in the actual words that the verses say. I know, because I have a ton of Bibles. I mean, I have Reformation Study Bible. Let's see if it has any notes on this, by the way. This passage is applied to... Oh, Hershey Sproul caught you on this. This passage is applied to Jesus in Hebrews 2:6 through 8. Not even 9, but Hebrews 2:9 goes with it too. "He was perfect man as well as God." Jesus is the model of redeemed humanity and restored human dominion over creation. Genesis 1:28. Also see 1 Corinthians 15:27 and Ephesians 1:22. Okay? Now, I'm going to go to the MacArthur, I'm going to go to the Thompson chain. No, I have the Thompson chain reference here, which is basically going to refer you to the same verses. Now, I'm going to go to the MacArthur, okay, New King James. And I'm going to look at the note here. This verse consistently emphasizes the significance of man who was created in the image and likeness of God to exercise dominion over the rest of creation. Now, I don't necessarily agree. I don't think his note went enough in depth there, and it's all the same study notes in these Bibles. So there's no sense in me going to any other MacArthur study Bible. I don't agree with that note there. Now, I have an issue with that, because obviously, like I said, if you connect Hebrews 2, I'll go with R.C. Sproul 6 through 8, and I would even add 9 to that, you would see that they're not talking about humans. They're not talking about humans. Okay? They're talking about Jesus. So was it said that Jesus was made a little lower than the angels? Yes. Because he was made a human. That's when he was made lower than the angels. Okay? Now it does say that when we become exalted, we are to judge the angels. But they're talking about in the sense of right here, right now, when Jesus was made a human, he was made lower than the angels. Okay? So I don't like the fact that you deliberately didn't explain that. I mean, you're taking a KJV only position, so I didn't expect you to be honest about it. But we can even look in the New Living Translation here. And I bet you it'll offer some type of explanation on it. I'm a little bit let down that MacArthur didn't fully explain it, which he normally does, but, you know, he's a man, so he's not perfect. Apparently, according to what you're saying, he's thinking he's a little lower than God, though, so, you know, whatever. Anyway, in the New Living Translation, it says, "You have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honor." Now, just by that statement, you should know humans were never crowned with glory and honor. Jesus was. And the passage just says, him. I think that him should be capitalized so that you know who it's talking about, or Lord. Not the whole word Lord being capitalized and you talking about God, but talking about just the first letter. But let's just see if the notes have anything to say about it. Psalm 8, 3-5. When we look at the vast expanse of creation, we wonder how God could be concerned about people who constantly disappoint him. Yet, God created us only a little lower than himself or the angels. Okay? The next time you question your worth as a person, remember that God considers you highly valuable. We have great worth because we bear the stamp of the Creator. Now that's a little charismatic for me, okay? But even in that note, it seemed to have been tying the God and angels together, which again, I have an issue with that. But it even put us below them there. All it takes is a little exegesis, okay? I haven't made my full case because I don't know that there's a way to completely clear this, because that even in the New Living Translation, that the words were kind of clouded. I could see how people get confused. But honestly, there's no reason. Think about that. When were we ever crowned with glory? We weren't. Psalms 8:5 isn't talking about us. It's talking about Jesus. Okay? When you connect it with Hebrews 2:9 or 2:6-9, you can see that. You can definitely see that. Peace. Subrate and comment below. Later. Deuces.